Welcome everybody to another episode of Beers and Bourbon with Dick and Brett. I'm Dick.
And I'm Brett.
Never gets old. Welcome back everyone. We've had a little bit of lag in some of our filming, so we're super excited to get back. Brett over here has been a little busy with his extracurricular activities, which is making me feel a little self-conscious that he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore.
I feel like we just probably mentioned that on the last one too, so man, I must be busy. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to do everything that I can to drink bourbon and drink beer, you know?
Hey, when you suck, you suck. It's fine.
I guess.
Just fucking around. All right. We'll get the emotional shit out of the way. We'll get back to the show. So, we got a pretty solid lineup here. Last episode, we did 2 beers. We switched it up. We're going back to sort of our normal setting with 1 beer, 1 bourbon. We did change it up, though. This is a rye bourbon. So we have here Whistle Pig 10-year. It's a store pick from El Cerrito. El Cerrito is a local liquor store to us. And then the beer, this beer is really important to Dick and Brett. We've actually done the single dictionary roulette. This is the double dictionary roulette. So this is part of the signature series. Hopefully they keep it around. I don't know if they're going to keep it around.
I doubt it. I mean, it is part of the signature series, so it's probably going to come and go pretty quick. I'll tell you what, when we heard that they were dropping the double of one of our favorite stackable beers that we put in our fridge, I mean, instantly I was drawn to it. And then, I like to play poker. There's little poker cards on the front. There's a little beach on it. I like that. And you cannot go wrong with dictionary, right? So double dictionary.
It was one of those things where it was like, we saw the drop from Brewery X, who we follow, obviously on Instagram, and it was one of those things. Immediately, I was texting Brett like, "Fuck, dude, they just dropped the double dictionary," because we had talked about it for a while, hoping. The beer is so good, and the signature series they've done, a lot of it has been with like collaborations with tattoo shops and other different things that they were doing. So they rotate, a similar style of beer, but it's every couple of weeks. We usually get a new drop. So this one has been around, I don't know, maybe a month now. So hopefully it stays.
I hope so. I mean, I know that the day that you found it for the first time, I was like, hey man, pick me up at least a 4-pack, because I wanted to hold on to it. Well, my attempt to hold on to it lasted about maybe a day and a half before I blew through them, because I just couldn't resist myself, honestly.
It's good. I mean, it's been very few times in my beer drinking career where I've been able to try a beer that I really liked at a single or double, and then it went to the next level. So, double goes into a triple. You have Pliny, you have a couple things out there, but it's rare that a brewery will take a style of beer and they'll make an older, brother or sister version of that.
I would say just straight up off the bat, there's a small chance that I might like it more than I like the single.
Really?
Yeah. So if you can find it while it's out there circulating a little bit, I'd say grab it, drink it, and enjoy it. Because if I had to guess, I'd say it doesn't last that long. It's the same as they had the Gnar, and then they had the
Yeah Dog.
The Yeah Dog, and then didn't they have like a double Gnar or some kind of special Gnar?
Yeah. Oh,
that was gone in an instant.
The
so
sticky Gnar.
Oh yeah, the sticky Gnar.
I had that at the brewery.
Wee,
Dude, that shit was fire. God, why'd you bring that up? We went off. If hopefully you watched that episode,
I bring up the Gnar every time I can, because that's one of the beers that was just a golden nugget.
Yeah. I tag Brewery X every time we do one of those beers, so hopefully they know. This is our last at this moment public statement. Bring back the Gnar.
Yeah,
just bring it back.
He says that's our last time, but we're not going to stop bugging you, Brewery X. If you got anything inside of you that says, "Hey, we had a cult following," I'm cult following the Gnar, so please bring it the fuck back.
Bring it back, dude. Bring back the Gnar.
Okay, I want it.
All right, let's get into this.
I want it in kegs. I want it in bottles. I want it in cans.
We had one keg of the Gnar.
shit, I want to take a bath in it. Okay,
That'd be pretty.
It's hard to do when you can't find any.
That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
I do want to call out. So on a prior episode, we talked about the glasses that Brett got us from Bourbon County. From what?
Nothing.
What the? You drank it too early?
Yeah, I just snuck a drink. I was trying to hide it from him.
I was trying to figure out. I got really uncomfortable right there. Like, what just happened?
I was like, he's gonna see the foam on my mustache right now.
It's all right. You cheated on me. It's fine.
I'm pretty good at that these days. Apparently.
So let's go.
Okay.
Let me go
even
back.
Touch this stuff because I just start drinking it.
All I was gonna say was we talked about the glasses last time. I wanted to point out to everyone that I'm rocking the hat that he brought me. Super fortunate that he brought me this hat.
I love that.
Super sick. Super excited to rock merch from different places. So, but let me get into the beer.
Okay? Yeah, why don't you nose it
for
us?
How about we cheers first?
Okay, cheers. Okay.
So good.
This is a beer that I've nosed a few times, and I mean, I just want to kind of like if the beer was poured even higher, like to here, I want to almost just dip my whole nose inside of it, and so that like later tonight and tomorrow morning, it's just like it's still coated on my nose hairs, you know.
So good.
And now that I'm like 40 something, my nose hairs grow a little bit faster than they used to.
Get that ear and nose hair, man. That's part of getting old.
I keep seeing these commercials where these people have like these Q-tips with like goo on them, and they stick them up in their nose, and then they rip them out.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, I can't do that, but man, I feel like I should do that.
You need
sometimes.
to get one of those little trimmers.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Oh.
Those are a pain in my ass. It's like, and bink, and like all of a sudden sends a shock through your brain. I would rather just pull them all out at one time.
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like they just grow back in like 3 days anyway. So
can we get to dictionary and stop talking about your nose hair?
Yeah, absolutely. Damn.
So okay, so you told me, well, you told everyone, not just me, but you told everyone that you think you like this more than the original.
I do. I think.
So what is different? Because we reviewed dictionary before and we gushed all over it.
I want to say the alcohol content's slightly higher.
Well, it's a double, yeah.
Right. I feel like some of the bitterness goes away, which is strange because you think double, you think more bitter.
In theory, yeah.
In theory, but in this one, I don't feel like it's that way. I feel like it almost rounds itself out a little bit better on both the intake and the finish. And that's maybe the reason that I like this one a little bit more. I'm finding it not to have quite as much visual sediment in it either.
It definitely drinks boozier to me is the way I would describe it.
Yeah,
like,
I think I just like that.
Yeah, but when I say boozy, not like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm drinking this 14% beer and I can't stomach it. But it definitely lets you know that it's a double. I don't know what it is. It's just like, I still get almost everything I get out of that, but there's some kind of creamy texture
that's in this one that isn't in the single.
Yeah, I would agree that on the finish. So mouthfeel to finish, I would say like what we're trying to describe is that softerness, which is what you would expect from a hazy.
Yeah,
I think that's the quintessential difference from a West Coast that's very dry and bitter. That was the thing that drew me to the hazies is you get a lot more citrus flavor, which I'm not saying this is citrus, but typically, but majority of it, that mouthfeel and that follow through is like that pillowy softness that's more inviting, that makes you want to be able to crush a beer in the heat.
Do you pick up anything else out of it? I mean, I just don't know.
I feel like the nose is a little bit more floral, but on the end, I don't. So I'm trying to think back because I feel like I've drank so much of the single that the flavor profile is just normal. You know what I mean? It's not like unique to me anymore. Whereas we don't drink this all the time, so I think naturally you're gonna pick up some intricacies that you don't because we're just kind of flooded. If you drink Dr. Pepper every day, it just tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and then somebody hands you a Dr. Pepper Zero, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah,
shit.
Right?
But I do agree. I think the biggest difference, the two takeaways I get is when I say boozy, I can taste that it's a double IPA. Yeah. I taste that right off the bat. I do taste the alcohol content. It's not overbearing. But on the finish, I think it is softer. I think that's the biggest difference for me that makes it, again, I keep using this word crushability, which is not probably a word, but when you think about us being in California in the summer and this being 8.5% beer, I'm going to drink it like it's 5.
Yeah, I think this is crushability factor very high. Mm-hmm. And crushability is a word.
Is it?
Okay, it is. It might not be the word in the dictionary, but it is a word that is going to be used quite a bit. So
yeah, I mean in the dictionary.
Yeah, so crushable, which means then you can add your crushability.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use it then.
Yeah.
I've just used it a couple times. I don't feel like I'm making up my own.
I feel like I want to use it all day now.
I mean, let's get through this. I mean, I'm powering through it since you started.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have to spend all day on this beer. I mean, it's simply good. It's gonna come and go, I believe. I don't believe it's gonna stick around as a signature series beer.
Yeah.
I love it. If they could just convert it right over, I'd be super stoked. But you also don't want to see your originals go away either. So,
yeah.
I mean, hold strong on the dictionary. Keep putting it out there and let us get a little taste of some fun every once in a while, right?
Here's what I'll say, and you'll continue to hear this as well, is the cool thing about Brewery X is, like, one, there's some of the top brewers in Southern California, some of the biggest breweries. They were head brewers. They all got together, decided to open their own shop, and the place is massive. The production brewery is bigger than anything that I've seen from somebody just starting out, which is smart because they don't need to grow into the business. They've been in the business. It's like that's number one is I feel like you took a lot of, hop geniuses and put them in this little incubator and they're creating these amazing profiles. The second piece that I love more than anything in this fucking world of bullshit prices and inflation, this is $12.99.
Yeah.
$12.99. So the single IPA 4-pack's $11.99. This is $12.99. That's unheard of. Other breweries are charging $26 to $33 a 4-pack plus tax plus CRV. Yeah. So now I'm $40. I'm $10 a beer.
I just paid $30-something for a 4-pack, and I hope I'm happy about it. But we'll have to find out. It's another beer that'll be coming up on a later episode. Obviously, it's a well-known brewery as well, but that price point, that's $10 more. I mean, when you have an amazing beer at $12.99 and you have some amazing beer at $30, you're still going to buy that $30 4-pack, but are you going to buy 10 of those $30 4-packs?
Absolutely not.
Are you going to buy 40 of them eventually over time?
No.
I mean, get your prices down, and we'll start stocking our fridge more and more. I mean, the goal is consistency, right? And Brewery X has got it down.
Yeah,
they're able to drive good beer for a good price, and it's really helped me out a lot immensely on my pocketbook.
Weekly routine. I grab right now weekly routine. If I'm going there, if I'm going to our shop we talked about earlier, El Cerrito, which is going to get into our store pick pretty soon, I'm going to buy 2 of the regular dictionaries. I'm going to buy 2 of these, and I'm going to buy 1 28 Haze Later from Beechwood. Yeah. It's going to cost me about $65, and I just bought 5, 20 beers, and that's going to, sad to say, it's only going to last me about a week. Anyways, we'll move away from that fact. But anyways, right now, price point is so important, especially in bourbon too. We can talk about the price of this bourbon and other bourbons, but in California, we have a different challenge where we live in this beautiful area and we have all these perks and stuff. And yeah, it's expensive to live here, but alcohol prices have gone through the roof recently.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I dread more than the alcohol prices themselves is going to the doctor and him asking me the age-old question of, how many, do you consume alcohol? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how many drinks do you have? And I'm like, I don't know, 3, And he's like, oh, 3 a week? That's really good. And no, yeah, like you just said, about 3 a day, if not more. So
there's a video out there. It's like a reel, and the guy's sitting at the doctor, and he's like, "Can you tell me how often you drink?" And he said like 15, and he's like, "That's not bad, 15 a week." "Oh, you meant a week?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, starts counting. He starts counting per day, and then he goes, "You had that many beers?" He said, "Beers included?" So funny. I don't count them. If I had a way to count all the alcohol that I drink, I'd feel bad about myself. But
that's quite the heavy pour there.
I'm sorry.
I mean, Dick, that's a gagger if you'd have to ask me, right?
Do you want me to pour some of mine?
No, absolutely not. I'm just, woo, and it's rye, and it's a rye, straight rye.
I mean, we're gonna get back into it. We took a week off. Let's talk about this bottle. So this is El Cerrito store pick, like we said. Whistle Pig.
That's right. Real quick, I'm gonna just take a quick break and say thank you, El Cerrito. Thank you, everybody over there. You guys are still doing a fine job of putting out picks for our community. We really appreciate it. If you ever get a chance to visit this shop, they got amazing bottles. They have a great selection, and they have some dusty bottles. They got probably some bottles that are like, I don't know if you want to call it, but like kind of like consigned, right?
Yeah.
So more difficult bottles to find. You're going to go in there, and if you're truly looking for something, they probably have it there. Whether you're going to pay through the teeth for it or not, that just depends on how bad you want the bottle, but man, they can really bring some heat. And offering consistent amount of picks. I mean, you were part of their bourbon club or reserve member for a while, right?
Yeah, so shout out to Jazz. Jazz is the owner of El Cerrito. You'll see me wear this sweatshirt. We talk about it all the time. It's our favorite shop. Jazz is a legend in the industry of beer and bourbon, but I was part of a group for one point. I had to get out of it. It was getting a little crazy with how many picks he's dropping. I couldn't keep up with it. But there's 50 people, 50 reserve members, and the commitment is it's like 50 to 60 picks a year. It continues to climb, but that is all store picks ranging from new stuff like Nulu or different barrels of stuff that I'd never even heard of from different areas to like your blends, your full proof, your
I mean, this guy puts in work. He goes out there to all of your major distillers, and he's doing bottle picks, barrel picks for, I mean, just an immense amount, right? So you're not only getting that whiskey you like, but you're getting the best of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so up there we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 total foolproof picks, and I think 4 of them are his. And I've been afraid to try them, to be honest with you, because I'm afraid they're going to go away and I'm never going to get them. This year, I did one of the first stag picks. So yeah, I mean, when we talk about like the place that's near and dear to our heart and the shop that takes care of us, absolutely, El Cerrito is a spot. This bottle was one of the first store picks I think I ever bought prior to the club. I was just getting into bourbon.
I had to knock the dust off of it before we brought it out. So let's knock the dust off this first pour, right?
But, here's the other thing, Brett. This is the first, like, real rye. We messed around with the Taylor straight rye, but this is kind of like, really like ripping off the Band-Aid going into the rye. Most of the stuff we do is wheated or traditional bourbon styles.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta like rye too at some point. I mean, just straight blank honesty, rye is not my favorite type of bourbon. However, I have been introduced to some ryes lately that I've loved. So it really takes kind of, I think, just a longer time to get there, but then once you kind of find what kind of ryes and what kind of those bills that you like, I mean, sky's the limit. So if you're running out of options and you're just a bourbon drinker, but you're thinking about getting into rye so that you have some more variety, try it. Do it, you know? You might back off of it or you might not.
You ready? So different. get some smokiness in there, which almost feels like a Scotch. Like
That's what I always pick up from rye. Is it's the closest thing you can get to that peated flavor that you get from a Scotch, right?
Which is so weird because that's typically the flavor of what I don't like about Scotch is that cast smokiness.
Yeah.
But this,
I mean, it's a balance of both though. It's a sweet and it's a smoky.
the finish is fire.
Yeah, and
But-
then on top of that, you also have with the bourbon, you know, like I said, it's a balance of sweet and smoky,
Yeah.
right? And it one doesn't necessarily overpower the other. The thing for me is it always tends to me to be a little bit drier
Yeah.
and a little bit more in your face.
I would say this is like a whirlpool of flavors. So I tasted all right. So for the non-bourbon drinkers, and I'm not saying we're a crazy rye drinker, but the difference is there's rye in every bourbon, right? Even I think even on the wheated there could be some, but it's what happens is now you're replacing barley with rye, and you're getting this mainly spice characteristics.
Yeah.
Spice not as in hot, as in complex, as in bringing. When I say that whirlpool, when I drink this, I don't taste hot cinnamon. I don't taste that hotness, and then it flavors down. I taste smoke. I taste spice complex. I taste a little bit of heat, and all of that transposes.
It's not like cherry or honey or caramel.
No. But what's cool is it all dissipates very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not like on the follow through, I just taste this immense amount of spiciness. It's actually refreshing down the back end, and it's pretty mild. Like I'm not getting the Kentucky hug.
Yeah, you kind of can drop a little. It's like dropping a thing of alcohol on a hot day on a surface. It evaporates really quickly. You know what I mean?
I like
And
it's a
that's kind of
flavor
the way
bomb though.
I imagine it is that when you know, like a bourbon, you might drop and then it creates like a pool, and it'll sit there, right? Because it seems like it's just willing to hang around, you know, longer. But if you drop like the rye, it just kind of, you see it kind of just shrink and just disappear.
The
you know?
nose is pretty mellow.
Yeah.
You know, I think what's interesting too is this bottle's been opened. It's not the neck pour. It's breathed a little bit, but it's been cellared. You know, like I said, I think this bottle is a 2020 bottle, so it's 3 years old, and we haven't put a huge dent in it because to Brett's point, we're not huge rye drinkers, but we respect the flavor profile and we want to get into it. But I think what I'm enjoying the most about this right now is I don't think it's overwhelming on the nose. I think I get a good hint of flavor, and then boom, I'm all over the place like, you know, a 5-year-old soccer kid kicking me in my fucking shin like 27 different times, and then all of a sudden it's a little sweet, smooth, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's very refreshing at the end.
And so, what about a little bit about Whistle Pig, right? At the end of the day, something that maybe one of our followers or somebody that subscribed that they don't know about Whistle Pig.
I don't know a ton about Whistle Pig.
Oh, I mean, what do you know about the different brands that are with Whistle Pig? Anything like that?
Not really. Honestly, I only have 2 bottles. So I have a 10-year, obviously this one right here. And then I have a 12-year, which is like a sherry cast. So it's a specific cast strength one.
Now, this isn't a Kentucky whiskey, right?
No. Right
So
here,
I think it's Canadian.
right here it says Vermont and Shoreham. Oh yeah, it says product of Canada. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
there you go. A.
Hey, Canada,
Right?
hey? Yeah.
So
I-
hats
I'm-
off, right?
So that I feel a little like a little anxious right here because typically I'm the one that's going to give you the whole background about it, but I don't know much about
I
Whistle
think
Pig.
that's the point of me asking that, is because Whistle Pig was quite the hype for some time in the industry,
Yeah.
and a lot of people were getting excited about it, especially rye drinkers or people that were into rye. So this is one that is a little bit off pattern for us. We don't know a ton about it. Probably only drank it as much as you can see that's outside of this bottle. So we figured, hell, why not just review it and see if we can pick apart anything that we like or dislike about it, because it's not something that's super familiar with us. And that's what this whole thing is about, is not just giving you tasting notes on bourbons that we know. We want to try a bunch of different stuff, and we really want to get to the bottom. Do we like it? Is this something? Do we want to recommend it to you guys?
That's what me and Brett talked about before we started filming tonight. Was, we're trying to figure out the direction we want to go. Right? We've been very fortunate. Just kind of being transparent. We're getting close to those 1,000 view mark, which is a huge milestone for us. We've only been at it for
pump it up.
We've only been at it for
pump it up.
What, maybe 40, 50 days, right? So we're not even to the 2-month mark. We've been very blessed by a lot of love from everyone, and we're trying to figure out, how do we stay true to what we are? How do we continue to excite everyone out there that's watching and evolve? And I think our approach was to put some heavy shit out there to show you that we're not fucking playing.
Yeah.
And now we've kind of made the decision to make sure that we're reviewing a ton of different shit so we're balanced. We're going to bring stuff that's local to the area, stuff that's not local to the area. We're going to get into stuff that maybe we don't have a ton of knowledge on or a ton of flavor profiles on, so that way you can see our natural reactions to that. That way we continue to stay true to what we are, which is having a good time, talking about bourbon, hanging out, and hopefully everyone learns some. But we're learning shit as we go too.
I mean, I just looked at the bottle and saw that it had some dust on it. And for me, immediately, dusty bottles are cool, So even if it's only 3 years old, that means it's been sitting in there for 3 years. And it doesn't mean that it's not because we didn't like it. It just means that there's so many damn bottles to go through that we just don't always get to them. You kind of fall into a groove when you're a whiskey drinker once you find a bottle that you like, especially if you only have a couple of bottles in your collection or whatever, and then you finish that bottle and your immediate response is, well, I really enjoyed that bottle, so I should go back to it. In the case that maybe you shouldn't, go back to that same bottle and try something new, I feel like that's some good advice, because at the end of the day, your palate and your profile is obviously what matters the most. But if you're sharing this experience with friends and things like, their palate and their profile might be different. So being able to let them enjoy obviously brings joy to yourself.
Agreed. And sometimes you challenge those paradigms, right? That's what I found is like, most people are like, hey, I don't like this. I'm like, even like you heard me say, I don't like scotch. Well, I've only had like 3 scotches in all transparency. I've had
a lot of scotch, and I didn't like it the first time I tried it, but the reason that I like scotch is because my father drinks scotch, and I feel like if I'm going to sit down at the end of a night and I hadn't seen my father in a year or 6 months or 3 months or even a week, and he wants to share a moment with me and he likes scotch, guess what? I'm going to drink scotch. I'm going to buy him scotch. I'm going to make sure that I have scotch at my house, because I want him to be comfortable when he comes over, and when we hang out, I want to enjoy those times with him, because you never know how long you're going to live on this earth. And so if the spirit is right for the person that you're with, buy that spirit, enjoy it with them, and that's the way it goes. You always have every other single day of the week to go back to the way you want to do it. So if you have to have 10 bourbons and 1 scotch, or 5 scotches if you're my dad, then that's the way it's going to be.
I fucking love that, Brett. I feel like it's like, this is all about community, right? It's all about love. It's all about hanging out. And to me, being able to share the experience, that's what it's about. We're not sitting here slamming shots, trying to, get drunk and stuff. We're just trying to enjoy it and have a commonality. So I think it's badass.
I'm actually in my 5th or 6th sip of this Whistle Pig.
It's fire.
And I'm not hating at all. I honestly am liking it every sip I take more and more, because like you said, it's not a big Kentucky hugger.
No.
Given that it's from Vermont or Canada or wherever it's from, and it's rye, but it doesn't. It's pretty easy to drink, and I think I could drink a lot more of it.
I agree. I was going to say, here's my kind of recap on it, since we're towards the end. Like, I feel like the nose is mellow. I get a little bit of hint of the spice.
Yeah, I mean it's spicy like a rye should be, but yeah.
It's a generic rye profile nose. I love the whirlpool. I said as a kid, soccer, 5-year-old kid kicking me with no shin guards in my fucking shin. Bam, bam, right off on the mouthfeel. I love it. I get the spice characteristics. I get a little bit of heat. I get this complex note, which I still don't know how to describe, of rye, which is so many different complex flavors because of the grain that it is rye versus barley or wheat. And then on the end is probably the most inviting thing of why we've gotten through this monster pour that you called is I can still taste it a little bit on the back of my tongue, but I'm not sitting here going, oh my gosh, I stomached this firebomb of like, I can't put it down. And it's bringing me back to want to continue to drink it.
So I'm going to make myself look really bad here because this is how much I don't know about rye. But is Whistle Pig related to Boss Hog? Or is that a whole different brand?
No, that Boss Hog is a version of Whistle Pig.
Okay, so Whistle Pig does have other bottles in its line.
Well, it's like anything, right? So we could talk about Weller.
I always see the bottle of Whistle or Boss
Hog
out there.
Is silver. It's in a blue
like
case.
$380 or something like that. I'm like, I wonder if that's good,
So it's like anything. There's levels, right? There's levels of, I guess you would say, purity of the product. There's levels of how much money you want to spend, and some of it's like the FU factor of like, this is our brand royalty.
Yeah.
This is the bottom of the barrel for them, but it's not.
It's a single barrel 10-year. There's got to be something else, right? Lower than that?
No.
No?
This is the bottom.
That's where they start?
There's 10, 12, 15.
Okay.
And then you get into the Boss Hog. And
Damn.
then there's I think there's like a Japanese or Chinese version of like certain, just like Wild Turkey.
That's pretty gangster, just saying, hey, guess what? I'm not starting a bottle until it's 10 years old and it's a single barrel. So what's up?
Let's go. It's like Eagle Rare, right?
I like it. I mean, they should do that with a lot more bourbons.
I mean, I guess it just depends on how the company started because, it's got to be 4 years to be considered bourbon, and most companies it's very difficult. They'll get juice from MGP or someone. So someone has already made the bourbon, and then they just barrel it, and then they distill it, and they go like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. We blended it. I agree. I mean, I think 10 years is the quintessential spot. I think we know 12 years is where we fill our honey barrels.
Gotta love them 12 years,
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of close this out, from my opinion, I want to hear Brett's opinion. It's been 2 years, 2.5 years plus since we've had it. I'm not mad at it. I didn't feel like it was we're going to sit here and talk shit and go, it's a fucking rye, we don't like it. I feel very pleasantly surprised. El Cerrito, again, shout out, man. Jazz, always taking care of us, brother.
I was just going to say, hey, before we finish that, but that's cool. Yeah, it's all good.
That's what you get for fucking me on the beer earlier. Oh, I took it down.
All right. Well, we're going to cut it. I think that might be the end of our episode today. Really enjoyed you guys being with us. We'll be back very soon. We've been noticing to be dropping just about an episode a week, and hoping to try to bring you guys some more content in the future. We're doing the best that we can to be here with you guys. Keep going out there and pushing those following things, right? Is that what they're called? Follow us? Subscribe us, right?
Subscribe, comment, like, follow us on Instagram. We're talking about doing a Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah, so you go to YouTube and then you watch or you listen to our podcast, whatever tickles your boat, right? And then there's like a button or something, and you hit subscribe, and I think the only thing it really does is just sends you an alert when we drop new content. So
Brett brings up an important point. I was talking to my dad AA round last night. Yeah. He was like, hey, I'm old. No one understands what this means. He's like, you should spend some time explaining. So the requirement on YouTube to log in and subscribe is you have to have a Gmail account, right? A Google Mail account. So if you have a Google Mail account, you can create a free YouTube account. And then when you go into our channel, which is linked to all of our IG shit, it's linked to our YouTube, you go in there and it'll take you to Dick and Brett, and you click the button subscribe. Then there's a little thumbs up or a thumbs down for like, don't like. And then there's this little, like, it looks like a conversation thing. You click on there and you comment. So we want subscribers because we want everyone to be able to know when that content comes out. That's all it does. When you subscribe, it doesn't do anything other than let you know when we drop a new episode. Bing, you get a little icon that says, hey, Dick and Brett just dropped new content, and it'll take you right there.
I'm just starting to learn this stuff over the last couple of years, but there's some really cool things that I've learned from it, and that's, I get an alert saying, hey, what's up? This person, so-and-so, the person that you're interested in kind of hearing what they have to say, they got some new stuff for you to check out, right? So we want you guys to go in there, take the extra step and subscribe for us. It'll help us out. It'll get more bottles and more beer in front of you, and that's all that we ask from you. We don't ask for a whole lot. We really want you guys to comment and start getting involved in what we're doing. We're thinking about putting our stuff out there on Spotify and Apple. We're also thinking about starting a Discord. That's a little bit down the line since I'm still trying to learn Discord, but I know that's a big thing out there for a lot of people, and it's a direct way for you guys to ask us questions about beer, about being a dad to girls, about young kids softball and sports, soccer, about life, about how can I find something, what was your experience with this. We're willing to share everything that we know with you guys, so when we get to that platform, we'll launch it, we'll let you guys know. We'll let you know when we get out there on Spotify, we'll let you know when we get out there on Apple, but for now, our main platform here is YouTube, so let's have some fun together, let's grow this organically, and we look forward to bringing you guys some more heat, right?
Absolutely.
Got to bring that heat.
Yep. All right, well, thanks for joining us. Dick and Brett,
Out.
out.